Okay, great. Is
Okay,
that
let
the
me
six
just-
something
1,
number?
2,
We're good. We're at 8.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We're at 8.
We're at 8. Okay.
Yep.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the July 20th, 2026 Reston Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. Members, please stay online after our 2 cases. There's a couple of administrative details we need to clear up. And thank you all for coming. And I'm going to let Brian Winterhalter go forward.
All right. Lynn, it looks like you're trying to say something, but you're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Brian. Point of order, Tammy, there is
Sure.
an introductory.
I don't have that. Do you? I don't have it anywhere. Maybe Mark, do you have it?
Mark sent it to you.
Well, can you read it? Because I'm a moron when it comes to flipping out to another screen.
Would you like me to read it, Tammy?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Tammy, you're chairing this meeting. You've called the meeting to order.
Thanks, Mark.
Welcome to the July 2026 meeting of the Reston Planning and Zoning Committee. The meeting is being held via Microsoft Teams. The meeting is being recorded, and the video archive will be available on the Reston Planning and Zoning website. As we begin, please be reminded that all participants are expected to engage with civility and respect, both in the online chat and during public comments, so that we can foster a constructive and inclusive discussion. If citizens attending the meeting wish to make a comment or ask a question following the presentation, they may raise their hands in the Teams app. The moderator will notify the P&Z chairman and unmute the citizen. Citizens will identify themselves by name before making comments or asking a question. If a citizen has a special communication requirement, these can be accommodated. Please use the chat. And just for those community members who are here, just FYI, after the presentation, committee members will ask their questions first, and then we'll turn it over to community members. And with that, please take it away, Brian.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, Tammy, and members of the committee. Appreciate it. I'm Brian Winterhalter with the LA Piper. Good evening. Here with our team on behalf of Stanley Martin for the Eastlink application. And I will share my screen and we can get started. All right, so you're all familiar with this site. It is the former Sprint T-Mobile campus on the east side of the Herndon Metro Station. It is adjacent to the metro station and the parking garage that was relatively recently built for the Metro project to support Metro Rail. It's bordered by the toll road to the north, of course, Fairfax County Parkway to the east, and the Polo Fields residential community to the south. Ooh, getting a lot of beeping. Here's a zoom in on the site. The area of the property is outlined in red. It contains the 3 existing buildings formerly occupied by Sprint T-Mobile. There is also a small community building on the property that we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. It's mostly surface parking and some landscaping, as you can see, as well as a stormwater management pond. We have 2 development concepts for the property that are incorporated into our rezoning application. The first development concept is what you see on the screen here. It includes multifamily units along the toll road and closer to the metro station property on the western portion of the site, and then transitioning with townhomes and stacked townhouses or 2-over-2s along the Fairfax County Parkway boundary and along Sunrise Valley Drive to provide an appropriate transition to the Polo Fields community to the south. In this option, there will be a multifamily building on block F, which is here, a rental multifamily building. There will be flats condo buildings that are in green and blue here. These are the townhouses and 2-over-2s, if you can see my cursor. And then I wanted to point out that this building here in this development option would be a light tech all affordable multifamily building. So we are proposing that specifically with this project, making that commitment that in this development option, that would be an all affordable housing building. Stanley Martin has discussed this project with an affordable housing developer who's lined up to deliver on that affordable housing building if this project is ultimately approved by the county. The building down here was formerly like a gym. It's got I'm not sure if any of you have been inside, but it was actually a sort of a small community center type building that was used for recreational purposes by the Sprint T-Mobile folks when they occupied the property. There are basketball courts, there's a fitness room, and some other community spaces in there as well. We envision taking this building and dedicating it to the Park Authority. We've already had discussions with the Park Authority staff about that option. They're certainly very interested in it and have been coordinating with us on it. So a little bit more detail to come in a future meeting about the specifics of that. But for now, suffice it to say, the concept is to dedicate that building to the Park Authority and turn it over to them for an amenity, both for the residents of this development, but also to be open as an amenity for the residents of the community as well. In this option, the multifamily and the townhouses and stacked townhouses are largely the same as in the first option. The difference here is that we have a non-residential option. So in this block, if you can see my cursor, there would be office instead of the affordable housing building. We propose a new street grid with a rectilinear grid of streets here to improve vehicular circulation and plan for the grid of streets in the metro station area, consistent with the comprehensive plan and the county's planning principles for the transit station areas. Again, this is an updated street grid. It's currently all surface parking and drive aisles, and we would actually have a more urban feel of a street grid with the proposed development. This shows you the multimodal circulation, which includes pedestrian and bicycle facilities throughout the development. As you can see, there's an interconnected network of multimodal options for the property. We will be adding additional trails around the perimeter and also along Sunrise Valley Drive. With respect to the urban park spaces, we have a number of park spaces planned, and you can see some of the typical amenities here, but there's a publicly accessible urban park space here, one that's centered here, concentrated toward the middle of the property, and then some nice additional park spaces here, here, and here. And then again, for recreational opportunities, we will be dedicating the recreation building to the Park Authority. That would be open for everybody, not just the folks who live at this property, but throughout the community at large and operated by the county. And we're also planning to provide some type of sport court facility that would go on the outside of that building as well. So basketball courts inside, a sport court on the outside, still coordinating on exactly what that would be, but that is part of the proposal. Just to give you a sense of the representative architecture, this is what we envision for the multifamily building. And then the apartment building here. The smaller condo flats buildings, which are part of the project as well. Again, just to show you some of the representative architectural designs. And then lastly, some concept architecture for the townhouses, and the stacked townhouses are 2/2s. So that's where we are right now. I'll stop sharing and I can bring this up if you all have questions. So a couple of quick notes overall. We're certainly trying to balance the recommendations in the comprehensive plan, which include a 1.5 FAR and a mix of 75% residential, 25% non-residential. Frankly, and quite candidly, we think that providing an office building at this location does not necessarily make the most sense. And we would certainly prefer to do the affordable housing building. We think that that is very much in alignment with county planning goals. And we think it would be a good use that we certainly can deliver on this property. We've had conversations with the county about that in terms of doing the affordable housing building in lieu of an office building or 2 office buildings. The other thing to note about the proposed development and the density specifically. Obviously, the comprehensive plan recommends a 1.5 FAR. We are at about a 1.0 FAR, and we are trying our best to balance the interests of making the most of the limited land area in the metro station and providing a multifamily component with the project, while also seeking to be sensitive to the adjacent polo fields community and having an appropriate form of development that transitions down to a lower intensity along the periphery of the property. We were, just a quick note on schedule, we were officially accepted for processing of this application in March. We've made one resubmission since then. We have updated comments from county staff. We are obviously here seeking your feedback as well. We then intend to incorporate your feedback and additional feedback from the county staff and work through a resubmission to the county. So we're still, in process on this application. And then the last note I will add is, I know Mark Malcolm is on here, and I'm glad he joined. Truett Young, who was formerly of Stanley Martin, has recently left. I don't know if you all have heard that, but Truett has left Stanley Martin, and he had some preliminary conversations with Mark and a few others in his community. And just, I want to make sure that I'm not, overstating anything that was in the submission that we made to you all. I think maybe a few things were sort of lost in translation, frankly, but I don't want to overstate the community outreach that we've had. So Truett had discussions with Mark and a couple of other folks. It's been made known to us by Mark and others that they were not formally representing the polo fields, that there isn't a cluster association formally, and there's not a homeowners association, at least as I'm understanding it now. So just wanted to make that note. So we intend to continue that dialogue. Kelly talked to Mark recently, but just wanted to make everybody aware that we're not here to claim that there is an official sort of polo fields opinion or vote or viewpoint on the project, although we obviously intend to continue that dialogue. With that, I'll conclude, and we're, of course, happy to answer any questions.
Tammy, you're muted.
Tammy, I was about to say the same thing.
Thanks, Brian.
Sorry, I unmuted myself and then my computer wants to mute me right back up. Lynn, the committee will go first and then others will be called on. Lynn, you're first on the committee.
Okay, and I did want to let Mark Goldberg-Foss know that Adam Rubenstein is trying to get in, and he said nobody's letting him in.
I'm
so-
in. I
Okay,
use my
great.
computer.
Thank you. Okay. Brian, thank you so much for sending these materials, and it's quite the read. There's a lot to go through, and I do have quite a bit, so I will start. In the cover letter that you provided, you in the second paragraph indicate that the applicant has partnered with an experienced affordable housing developer and intends to implement option 1.
Yes.
So
we
is
do.
that across the board? So everything that we see in the Reston Planning and Zoning Committee materials that show option 1 and option 2, we should be looking at just option 1?
Yes. We would like to pursue option 1. We intend to pursue option 1. We do not intend to pursue option 2. And the reason that we have 2 options, to be quite candid, is based on some interpretations from the county staff about whether we would or would not need a comprehensive plan amendment in order to move forward with the project, given that the affordable housing building would make the project essentially entirely residential, other than the recreational building. And so we have an office option, although I can tell you, frankly, we don't intend to implement it.
Okay. All right. So looking at the Reston Planning and Zoning Committee application that you submitted, you're showing on the to the third page, at the bottom, the tree canopy requirements and the tree preservation requirement. And frankly, I got to that and I put a little post-it on there and said, is that a joke? So it's showing existing tree canopy coverage of 329,088, percentage that should be met through preservation, 21%, but what's being provided is 2%. I think we need to go to the 21% at a minimum.
So, as you could see in the existing conditions aerial, a lot of that tree canopy is dispersed around the property. It's basically parking lot landscaping. So in order to redevelop the property, it's going to be challenging to maintain all of that existing vegetation.
Well, stepping back and, looking at the project from a 40,000-foot view, I would say that my initial impression is that this is super, super dense. I mean, there's a lot of density going in here. And if it's at all possible, I would recommend that we scale back some of the development that is fronting Sunrise Valley Drive and perhaps, providing additional tree canopy there or not removing what is there. But let me get back to the application and the specifics. In looking at the stormwater management requirements, I did spend quite a bit of time looking at that. And then when I got to the questionnaire, I see that the applicant has received staff comments and is in the process of revising the stormwater management plan to address the Reston comprehensive plan guidance. So I really do appreciate that and look forward to you all coming back and providing the stormwater management plan there.
Sure.
Okay, I'm now getting to the proffer statement. And again, as I said, this is a lot to go through. Looking at proffer 34, athletic field contribution. To address the comprehensive plan's recommendation regarding the provision of public facilities and athletic fields in the TSA, the applicant will contribute $1.72 per square foot of gross floor area of net new development constructed as part of the proposed development to the Fairfax County Park Authority. So you're saying that you are not going to be providing any athletic fields on this site?
Yes, that is correct. We are not providing athletic fields on this site. We are providing urban park spaces, a sport court, and also dedicating the recreational building to the park authority.
Okay, and just as a point of clarification, I did used to work at that site and I've used that athletic facility, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
It's nicely set up for a community athletic facility, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great spot. Great spot. So I want to focus on the Reston comprehensive plan because I will tell you, having served as chair of the working group that developed the land use chapter, and several folks on this committee also served in that working group. We did give great thought to this site, and the 1.5 FAR and the 75-25 mix of uses was discussed quite heavily. So I would really be interested in how you all came to the conclusion that this does not require the non-residential. Granted, the plan redevelopment was expected to be predominantly residential, but the mix of other uses we thought would include office, hotel, and supporting retail.
So understood that that was what was contemplated at the time of the comprehensive plan amendment, and I attended a lot of those task force meetings
I
as
know you
well,
did.
and understand everything that you're talking about. Um, so a couple of things. I think um, unlike at the Wheelie Metro Station and the Reston Town Center Metro Station, even though this particular site is directly adjacent to the metro station, it is somewhat constrained. And obviously the toll road is to the north, the Polo Fields community is to the south, Fairfax County Parkway is to the east. And, I'm sure you're all familiar with the fact that when you go out to this site and try to go directly from this site to walk to the metro station, you know, the county built the parking garage for Metro in coordination with the rail project. And at least in my humble opinion, I think it's fair to say it wasn't exactly well located to plan for future development on this property, and is somewhat of a barrier. And the challenge with that is, I don't think, given the access to the site, it's a particularly good location for office, to be honest. And office, as as everybody knows, on a per square foot basis, generates more peak hour vehicle trips than residential. And given the configuration of the site and the access to it, I think we think that residential makes a lot more sense. And also, in the context of the county's housing goals, I have heard Supervisor Alcorn describe that he would be interested in affordable housing building at each of the metro station areas, sort of as an influence, not specifically in county policy. I understood. But this is, given all of those factors, we thought that this would be an appropriate development proposal for the site.
Well, as Reston was planned for a balance of jobs and housing. And what I'm seeing happen with a lot of these proposals that we're considering is that we are losing all of the commercial, the jobs, that would be balancing the residential, the population. So that's definitely something that I was looking at. If as I look at the layout, the layout of the site, and I look at all of these units that are running along Sunrise Valley Drive, and how are these structures going to be interfacing and blending with the community across the street? And I would just make a comment that these structures should be scaled so that the lower rise buildings are along Sunrise Valley and the taller buildings are back towards the toll road.
Yeah, and
Is
that's what we've tried to do with this plan.
Okay? And then I will wait to see the stormwater management. As you know, in the comprehensive plan, again, we spent a lot of time looking at wetlands, and there was a wetlands map in there, and how in developments with an intensity of 1.0 far that were and greater, that they are required to retain, to the extent feasible, the first inch of rainfall. So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing that in the stormwater management plan. That's all I've got for now, Tammy. Thank you.
One quick note, if I may, to follow up on that, Lynn. That's one of the things that we are working on in terms of the stormwater management program and the retention goal in the comprehensive plan. And I will also share with everyone, with respect to your comments on the intensity and just the intensity of the project generally. as a sort of point of reference for everybody, Fairfax County staff would like us to increase the intensity of the site. They, we're at about a 1.0 right now. The comprehensive plan recommends 1.5. The staff would like to see us get, ideally, at least as they described to us, somewhere in the 1.2, 1.25 range, because they feel we are not sufficiently utilizing the density that's available at the metro station. I'm just throwing that out there for a point of reference for everybody.
I appreciate that, Brian. And, I am not a big proponent of, getting waivers and modifications for the requirements that have gone into Reston's planning and zoning. Having that 200-foot area, having that waived is, I just think that's horrible. It doesn't do much for the person that's buying the property. Of course, unless they're an investor that's buying a townhome or a condo to rent. They don't care about the 200-foot, small yard that would go with each parcel. So, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Tammy, I think you're on mute again if you're.
Okay, I think the next people were Sue and David, then Katie, and then Matt. Is that right? Or do people know? I saw Sue and David.
Yeah,
there.
and you might want to repeat, Tammy, in case folks that have their hands raised joined late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Committee goes first, and then we have guests, other people able to speak, but the committee goes first. And the committee, then John Carter, and then others. Thank you so much. Okay. Sue and David, take it away.
Thank you, Tammy. Brian, I think Lynn is correct that this is a complicated plan, and I suspect we're going to be seeing you several times before we get through this. I've got two quick questions.
Sure.
First of all, the affordable housing building, how is that split up between affordable and workforce, or is it just all affordable?
It would be all affordable.
Okay. And generally, I think that's a good idea, although frankly, I think what affordable housing people and workforce housing people would like to see is the building like that is mixed income, and then the affordable and the workforce scattered around among the rest of the townhouses and apartments and things like that. So just a note, what is the, if you do the plan as you are doing it now, what is the percentage of affordable housing versus total? Are you at or above the 12.5%?
We would be above, because and this is one thing to clarify, the affordable housing building is not taking the affordable units and the workforce housing units that would otherwise be provided and dispersed throughout the development in the other unit types and consolidating them all in the affordable housing building. The affordable housing building is a net add for affordable housing, and the affordable housing that would be generated by the rest of the market rate units would still be provided per county policy.
So again, let me just make sure I understand. The affordable housing building is completely in addition to the 12.5% or whatever it is for the rest of the entire rest of the project. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Well, that's frankly wonderful. The second question is a minor one. What is the relative size of the recreation center that is going to be run by the county? Is this the existing building and they're just going to move in there and redesign it? or is it coming down and then they're going to put another building up?
No, it will be a reuse of the existing building. It's a good sized building. And I'm looking for the exact square footage of that building on our plans. And let me find that. It is about 16, between 16 and 17,000 square feet.
Okay, and just to give everybody a reference point, how does that compare in size to, say, the YMCA on at the west end of Reston, or maybe the Lifetime Fitness place at the east end?
If you're referring to the Lifetime Fitness that is at the end of Business Center Drive and the in that location, like east of Wheelie, that's a very large building. That's like 100,000 square feet. So it's
So
not
this is
going to
more
be nearly
like
that big.
this is more like a YMCA size, or maybe even smaller.
Yeah, I mean,
Smaller.
I'll confess I don't know the size of in square footage of like a standard YMCA building. If you, I'll just try to describe it, and if folks want to come out, I'm sure we could arrange for a tour of the building. I've had a tour of the building, but basically, when you come into the building, there's kind of a check-in like front desk area. There's a good size like weight training and exercise equipment room. That equipment's been pulled out, but there's a good room for that. And there's two large basketball courts, like full size, normal size basketball courts in a big gym area. And there's a couple of other rooms and there's some small office space. So it lends itself well to being a recreation building. And the park authority, we're in some discussions with the park authority about, the condition in which they want to accept it and does it need to be like spruced up a little bit. But basically it can be used as a recreation building in its current configuration.
All right, thank you very much.
Sure.
Yes, I would be in favor of substituting the affordable housing for the 25% office building, previously hotel and supportive retail, predominantly because of the proximity to the metro. I think it's, again, would be great to have way above and beyond percentage of affordable housing located close to the metro. Let's see, you talked about architecture. I would like to hear more in the future about focus on green building amenities. What will you do perhaps for solar or for green roof? This would be a perfect opportunity to do urban farming on the roof or a sedum roof. It provides cooler buildings, which result in lower electric bills for your multifamily residents. It's going to also increase the stormwater retention and filtration, which Lynn's also talked about, and staff has pointed out that that needs to be improved. I would like to point out that we approved a development plan at RTC, and that developer committed to 72% retention on site. So we would like to, put 0.72 retention on site. So we would like to see a big boost in retention there. Other than that, all I have would be pedestrian crossings. You talked about multimodal trails, and then you also mentioned along Sunrise Valley Road. Can you get into how pedestrians will cross there safely to get to the metro? That was a big concern, I know, when we previously looked at this parcel.
Yeah, we are proposing to add crosswalks there, and we are still working on configuration, sort of the details of the configuration of a trail and cycle track with the county staff. So that's under discussion, but a trail and cycle track along Sunrise Valley Drive will be part of the project in some configuration.
Okay, we would like some real details on that. It's a very important crossing.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Understood.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Next, Katie McLean.
Hey,
And
good
this-
evening.
can I interrupt you a minute, Katie? Somebody's asking me in the chat, the people I'm calling on are committee members. Sue Straits and David Vanell, longtime committee members. Katie is, anybody I call on, I will identify as a committee member so that you will know. And then we'll start going down the list of others. Thank you.
And
Yep.
Matt Stevenson is also.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
Okay.
saying, I'm gonna go committee
Okay.
members first as our policy.
Perfect. Thank you. Brian, thanks so much. You always do such a great presentation. I have a question about the trees. So I don't know if you can pull up the first outline, the drawing that you did. Because when I look at Google Maps, this site has a lot of trees along, along the border of Fairfax County and Sunrise Valley. And I think, were you only saving 2%? It looks to be way more than 2% of the trees that are lining Fairfax County and Sunrise Valley. And I know for the neighborhood across the street, I am sure that they want to, when they pull out, they want to be at least having some tree buffer between them and the new townhomes. I live on the other end of Sunrise Valley, and there are townhomes, that I'm sure were approved a long time ago. And the trees, I'm probably taller than most of the trees, which is fine.
Oh.
50, 60 years from now, they'll look great. But I just think you gotta leave that tree. I don't understand. I see maybe you have to get rid of some of them, but if you look on Google Maps, there's a lot, and even when you drive by it, there's a lot of nice trees bordering it. I understand they're parking lot trees, but that's not 98% of the trees, I don't think.
So, yeah, so understood. I know Jessica Bradshaw with LDC, our civil engineer, is on, and if she wants to elaborate, Jessica, I'll turn it over to you. But also, we can take another look. Your point is well taken.
Yeah,
And we
please.
certainly want to
Yeah.
preserve as many trees around the periphery as we can. So, understood, and we'll see what we can do on that front. And if our calculations need to be updated, obviously we're happy to do that if it turns out we are saving more trees than we think.
Yeah.
But
I mean, just put up Google Maps and you can see there's so many trees on the border. I mean, and these are 50-year-old, you know what I mean? So it's like they already are with the depth and the privacy for the people across the street. And frankly, the people moving in, they want to have a little, neighborhood feel with nice big trees. My other question is on the northwest corner of the pond. Is that part of your property? And if so, what are you all doing with that? What is the plan?
So that is part of the property. It's an existing pond, and we plan to continue it as a stormwater management pond. So we're not proposing to remove the pond. We will be, cleaning it up in the area around the periphery of the pond, and we're still working on how we can provide that. It's more of a sort of nicer experience around it, and
Sure.
and make it more of an amenity. And that's one of the things that we're going to be working on in our updated version of our plan for our resubmission. But the short answer is it's a stormwater management pond, and it will continue to be a stormwater
And it's
management pond.
okay, all right, that's good to know. Okay, so again, I'm just, trees along that perimeter. When you come back, I want to hear it's much more than 2%, because I just don't think that's right. But thank you. You always do a great job.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Can I add, hi, this is Jessica for Land Design. We don't have a benefit of a tree preservation plan yet. So 2% is a little conservative, and we still have to do some preliminary engineering to see how we adjust the LOC. So definitely, as we see what we're going to be doing improvements in terms of frontage, we'll be able to point in what we're going to be saving or not. So potentially, hopefully we can increase that number. But once we have a tree preservation plan, I think we'll be more certain.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. And Brian, and I know you come before the board so much, like, different from the rest of, Fairfax County. Reston is very much, preservation, open space, just people moving in, they want to feel like part of the neighborhood. Actually, my final question, speaking of feeling like part of the neighborhood, are you all going to commit to be part of Reston Association?
So
And let me just say something, builders come, developers, attorneys, they all come before us every week or every month, and they're like, well, yeah, we're going to talk about it. But why not just commit to it up front and say, you know what? Because it isn't just about like they use the trails and they do this, they do that. But you move to a community to be part of the community. And Reston Association, like, allows you to really feel like you're part of Reston, where there's a reason people want to move to Reston. So I just say, I think it's a disservice not to join Reston Association, because I think that's a big selling point. Frankly, it was for us when we moved to Reston 8 years ago. We wanted to be in a Reston Association neighborhood.
Understood. Don't get upset with me, but we are talking about it. But we're not just talking. We have a meeting with the Reston Association staff next week, and we are going to brief the Reston Association board at some point in either September or October, I think, based on their scheduling. So we're in those discuss, or we will be in those discussions. So I will have an answer for you for the next time we come back. I don't have it today, but we are
No,
meeting with
understood.
them now.
I want you all to be like, the new frontier, where like suddenly then people come before us and they're like,
Yeah.
hey, this is like this is what you want to do when you come to Reston. I'm rooting for you guys that you come back before us and you say, yes, we are doing RA. We're part of it.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie. Hey, Matt Stevison. You're up.
Can you pull up the master plan, just the overall master plan image?
Sure. This is our cover sheet. Does that work for you?
That works just fine. So my first question is, can you tell me what the maximum building allowable height for, let's say, the northern third of the site adjacent to the toll road is?
So I am pulling it up on our development plan right now and make sure I get it all correct for you.
About
Hang on.
80 max.
80 max. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That's-
I was gonna
Usually
say
a
85.
range, but they're about
Yeah,
six.
I'm looking at
6
it.
feet,
So
6
this
stories.
building's 70 to 80. These buildings are in the 50 to 60 range. And the townhouses and the 2/2s are 50 to 60, and the
50-ish.
townhouses are 40 to 50.
I guess, I said I'm going to say something, and I said something similar in our last meeting about a different project. But looking at a lot of these projects around Reston right now, one thing that's starting to kind of jump out at me from like an urban design standpoint is it feels like a lot of them, you start with a plot of land and it's like, let's fill it up with as much stuff as we can, up to our sort of maximum building area. And then we're gonna, or maybe we lay out all the roads that we need, and then we're gonna fill it up to our maximum building area. And then like everything that's sort of left over just becomes kind of the green space or the park or the active amenity spaces. I think that my criticism of this plan, and it's been a criticism of quite a few of these plans we've looked at recently, is it doesn't, it's too chopped up. Like, I feel like you could take all of the components here and maybe like shift some density or add, 2 more floors to a 6-story building or to get to 80 feet or something like that. I mean, I'm looking at like these 2 buildings that are kind of in a V at the northern part of the site. Like, what if that was an L-shaped building and the park was sort of on that corner, and then you took the townhouses on the adjacent side of the street and flipped those with the park, and then you'd have like this conjoined park with like this boulevard coming through it that could be, some nice like pavers and kind of a woo nerf, and then you could introduce some mixed use to Lynn's Point and have some retail around there, and it starts to really feel like a place. And I think that so many of these developments that we've looked at recently are just, they're kind of like spreadsheets in the form of design. It's just, I need X number of these type of units, X number of this type of unit. What are the construction costs? And I get that because I'm in this business. So that, like, I get it as much as anybody can get it. But I think with Reston, with our history of, village centers and planning and integration with nature, that there's just like more creative ways to lay out some of these sites. And I applaud your inclusion of a LIHTC building, by the way. I think that's a great program. But I would just love to see some more thought into like place creation and you have these sort of individual little pieces that are kind of starting to do that, but they're not really like connected together in any kind of logical way that I can see. So that's kind of where my criticism is it's kind of not there yet for me. I think that there's opportunity here and some of the things are starting to work, but it's missing that sort of like place that I think we should be trying to create, when we're looking at a piece of land that's this large. So that's kind of my general point. And I mean, I could talk more maybe about like specific little moves or things that you can make, but I think pushing the density towards the toll road, if you can go higher up to that 80-foot limit, that could open up some of more green space, at the ground level. And then just thinking strategically about like how these things are laid out and trying to create, something that's going to actually, create a community here rather than just like a place where a bunch of people sleep at night. So that's up.
So thanks for your commentary. So interestingly, I wouldn't say some of the county staff comments that we've gotten very recently are exactly the same, but the county staff had some comments on the layout and sort of the arrangement of the park spaces and how the street grid is interconnected and working with the park spaces and with the units and so on. And they in the comments, they sort of challenged us to see if we could rethink some of those. And so we haven't started, working all that out yet, but I think there may be some opportunity to do some of what you're suggesting. And so if you've got any more specific thoughts, we don't need to do it at this minute, but I'd be happy to chat with you and
Yeah,
talk
actually,
offline.
Brian, I mean, you're more than welcome to reach out. I mean, this is kind of what I do for a living. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
reach out to me, I'd be happy to chat.
Yeah,
But
that'd be good.
one last question.
Sure.
The architectural images that you showed of the different buildings, are they just kind of placeholders, like this is sort of what we're thinking of doing, or are these the actual buildings that have been started to be designed?
I think for now, those are more placeholders, and we may have some more specific information for you as we come back.
One thing I would encourage you or your team, whoever's working on the architecture, is looking at the images that you presented. There's no real like coherent language architecturally that's tying any of them together. I mean, they all look very different styles, very different materials. I would try to like, I mean, I don't want every building to look the same. In fact, I like variety, but there should be some like palette of materials or unifying design principle that kind of ties all of them together.
Yeah, understood. Well, we'll go back and talk about that with our team and see what we can come up with to have a little bit more of a sort of unifying feel for the development.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
Sue Straits, you have your hand up. Is that an old hand or do you have a new question?
That's an old hand, sorry.
No problem. Let's see. I want to say some things, but first of all, John Carter, do you have any comments?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
So these, all these issues aren't going away. Let's start with the comp plan. My ears are ringing on this whole density issue and how to sidestep that a little bit. FAR is kind of an ephemeral thing. It's not real in a lot of ways. So rather than looking for ways to come up with another 0.5 FAR, look for ways to maybe address the comp plan. And there's two thoughts. One is, what would the FAR be if you took all the roads out, which actually is a fair way of doing this. I bet it's going to be more than 1.5. The other way, this 75-25, I don't know that we're quite at the stage where we can just go, well, we have a better idea, forget that. I don't think we could just forget that. There are ways, there's SSPAs you could do. Another way would be and I know the supervisors suggest this, take the density off of this and put it onto the county-owned site, which is not all that dense, but that would be another way. We'd have to figure out how to do that exactly, but I don't know that we need more FAR on this site. We just need a better way of addressing the 75-25 and seeing if the FAR works. These sites like this, which are basically a green field, when you put an FAR on that, it includes all the streets. It's almost not fair to do that. So I just wonder, calculating it wouldn't be better. Sunrise Valley, isn't that supposed to be our famous linear park, which we're getting infamous for, not famous for? I wonder if we could do a much better job with that. And some have tried, some have not tried, but some of the projects closer to the Wheelie Metro Station have perhaps made another stab at that. And I don't know where the county's going in terms of that cycle track, whether it's on the street or whether it's off the street, but ferreting that out. And I think avoiding that sort of long wall along Sunrise Valley was kind of the antithesis of what the comp plan was trying to achieve. I had another idea of this, which is it's hinted at into the comp plan in the environmental section, is what would it take, and I used to do this a bit in Montgomery and in the district, what would it do to make this a designated green, not buildings, but a green neighborhood? So look at the classifications for what you would have to do. And I think you've got a lot of the features. Green neighborhoods go to a variety of areas. The affordable housing, for instance, they go to the pedestrian access issue. They go to the closeness of metro station, but they kind of deal with this entire site when we're talking about environmental features, the pond, the addressing the stormwater management, solar panels, but somewhat addressing, I'm looking for something that would make this a little more special. And then my last comment is similar to some of the things Matt was talking about, the placemaking aspect. So I think the streets, particularly Sunrise Valley Drive, but the internal streets could spend a little more time on that. And then the open space, whether we could, whether you put that along Sunrise Valley or you do the linear park along Sunrise Valley and then try to connect the spaces better internally. Maybe something more with the pond. The pond seems to just be sort of at the western side and not really part of this, or maybe something with the recreation building could be more of a place. So let's see. Yeah, that's everything that's on my list, but I'm just looking for something a little different, and maybe there's something in this green neighborhood. There are LEED standards for green neighborhoods, and it might be pretty easy to do that here, and it would bring out something a little more special here. But I like Matt's comments about the open space and maybe connecting them better, moving the density, shifting the density a bit. That would create more space on the ground plane. And I like the comments about the trees along Sunrise Valley. Keeping those would be a nice feature. That's enough for me.
Thank you, John. Brian, first of all, before I ask you more questions, who have you been talking to at Polo Fields since they don't have a neighborhood spokesperson?
So I believe Mark will be able to chime in on that very topic, but Truitt at Stanley Martin had talked to Mark a while back, and I think Mark, I think I frankly mistook that Mark was a representative of the community, and Mark has made it clear to us that he is speaking in his own capacity and would like to provide input. And I know he was on the task force and has a lot of thoughts to offer that we're happy to hear. So I just wanted to clarify that. So yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I completely agree with Matt Stevison. I had the same exact concern is I want to compliment you. Number one, you have park space in this plan. You have multiple sites of it. But also you're putting in a huge amount, 1,041 new dwelling units. That's a huge amount of new residents. What are the bedroom breakdowns of your DUs, 1,041 new DUs? What is the bedroom breakdown?
I don't know the exact breakdown. I think that's probably still a bit in the planning stages. I know Steve Weber is from Stanley Martin
And
is
it's in
on.
the tab. It is in the tab if you want to look.
Where is it?
Right next to
Sorry.
number of lots.
You want to just go ahead and tell us what it
Yeah,
is
the
if you've
light
got it?
sec.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, the light sec has 403 bedrooms. The
Wait a minute,
multi-family.
403 one bedrooms or what?
Oh, total.
No,
I think
yeah,
it's
that's what
total
I was getting.
bedrooms. So
You
yeah,
mean
you
like
want the
how many
breakdown.
one
Never
bedroom,
mind.
how many two bedroom?
Okay.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
you think most of them are two bedroom? Is that your guess? The reason I'm asking this
Yeah, go ahead.
is we have 1,041 new dwelling units. When I look at that, I see about 3,000 new people. And that's what I'm looking at when I look at streets, parking, recreation. God knows we hope that the sewer and water hold up. We used to think that was infinite. It's not. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to figure out is, we have 1,041 DUs, so I don't know where we're coming up with 403. There's got to be a bedroom in each one of those, or it's a studio, which means it's a bedroom. So
Yeah,
where's
That was just
they
that was
range
just a
between-
light tech. Yeah.
For example, yeah, the light tech ranges between like 1 and 3 bedrooms, and the split, obviously, this is just preliminary. It's like 40% one bedroom, 50% two bedrooms, and probably 10% 3 bedrooms.
okay,
for the light tech.
40%, 50% is
And
two,
10.
and 10% three bedrooms?
Yes, and
Okay.
again, this is preliminary, the architect.
Right. No, I know this is a preliminary, but that's very helpful. So you're counting on a lot of studio or one bedroom units.
No, 50% are 2 bedrooms.
Yes, I know. 52, 41, 10, 3. Is that correct?
40, 50, and 10.
Yes. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, Tammy, can I add? You had referenced 3,000 people, based on the county's ratios, which are you in terms of the number of people per each unit type,
Yeah.
and that they use for the urban park planning purposes. It's a little under 2,000 people
Oh,
based on
okay.
county ratios. Just that's what's in our development
Thank you.
plan.
I'm changing my notes. I appreciate that greatly. I'm much relieved. Not that much, but that's much better. Okay, so this is supposed to be 25% mixed use. Is there not for this many, for over 1,000 DUs, is there not a market for a 7-Eleven or some convenience store retail in there?
Well, I'm not the market expert, but I suspect that would be challenging as an isolated retail use on this site, like just one.
Oh, retail, maybe a gas station and a 7-Eleven combo? I'm trying to get you mixed use.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
The other option would be some sort of county facility. You are stating that you're going to deed the rec center to Fairfax County. Golly, I was sort of hoping you'd have an HOA that would fund that so that the rest of the taxpayers aren't paying for, rec for your development that you're going to make a huge profit on and go off into the wilderness and leave the taxpayers with that permanent in perpetuity cost. But, you know, the pond is I would love the pond to be in the center, but I think it's a drainage issue. It's a stormwater pond. We're not moving that thing. I also am with Matt in that this is so exhausting to open a plan and see this number of units on, what do we have, 36 acres here? And you know, you have to have the roads, so that takes away from the 36. So it's an enormous amount of density on a parcel. I understand it's close to Metro. I do not know what the county staff is thinking when they're telling you to up the density. From a livability standpoint, I'd like to see more trees, more open space. We have a climate crisis, okay? So do we really need to be packing in all of this impermeable surface in this area? That's a concern. The other thing I'm now putting on my hat, and I'm pretending I'm Bill Penniman, 2% EV in a multifamily building? What is that? That is positively antiquated and crazy, wildly insufficient. And then you have 5% EV in the low income housing unit. Yeah, are they going to be, are those people going to be able to afford electric cars? I am all for putting it in because I think we're coming to, in the future, the majority of our vehicles will be EVs, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Any comments on that?
We will talk with our team and take a look at that. Understood.
Okay. And then we have of our open space, we had a statistic of 75% turf versus trees or other plantings. Yes, turf is great in that people can play on it and walk on it. My fear is that it'll be a poop park for dogs, because the smaller the unit, the more dogs people seem to have. And I did notice you have one dog waste disposal. Is that the only one? Is there only one, or did I miss others?
I think it is for now. I'll see if we can add one.
Oh, add one for 1,000 units? Like how
Or
about?
maybe
No.
add two.
We
How about
we have
six?
various in the parks.
Yeah.
They're spread around. Yeah, there's not just one. There's various.
Okay, good. Yes, hell yes on the green building. I love John Carter's idea of making this a green community. That is one of the best comments tonight so far, is with the challenges we have for energy and climate change, having a green community would be so amazing to have in Reston. And you know, someone also before me has said, I guess it was Lynn, about RA, and I certainly hope that they will accept you to being in their membership, because that would be terrific also. All right, that is my those are my comments, and now we'll go to people with their hands up. Mark Malcolm, you are first.
Thank you. Can you hear me first?
Yes.
Okay. With that, Matt Stevenson brought up a lot of great points. So did John Carr. The thing with the rec center, as it exists right now, what was told to Truett Young, there is the need with this number of units, especially the multifamily, as they comprise about roughly 800 of the total units. The Celebrity Child Care Center on the other side of the Herndon Station isn't a very good choice. The need in the affordable density housing is where you need to consider retail, childcare center, convenience store. But there's one thing that is directly missing, and it's difficult with this site because of the pond, as it's now and adjacent to the rec center. The Herndon Station and this site need to have a direct access that is not requiring people to walk on Sunrise Valley Drive. That may require some reconstruction of the stormwater pond, even as it's made into a public park amenity, much like the stormwater pond that is closer to Reston Town Center, used in a similar way. With what we had provided for the three people who talked to Truett Young on November 19th of 2024, we recognized that the rec center was not of sufficient size to also allow child care center with it. Also, at present, the site needs a lot of coordination on the transportation side, not just with FCDOT, but with VDOT, because we recognize in the long-term planning, there's supposed to be a grade separated interchange at Sunrise Valley Drive and with Fairfax County Parkway. That's probably around 2040 or after. In reference to what was mentioned with the cycle track project, since 2018, that's supposed to be a off-road cycle track on both sides of Sunrise Valley Drive, running from Innovation Station to Fairfax County Parkway. And then the intent, with its success, it would continue on to Wheelie. The most difficult part of that project is the one block running from Fairfax County Parkway to Monroe Street. The Fairfax County surveyors are well aware of at least 7 significant bundles of fiber optic cable buried in. And a couple of the neighbors who are listening to this meeting have been impacted by the construction or reconstruction that's occurred over time. There's a lot of concern about transportation impacts to Polo Fields because this site only has the Thunder Chase Drive and a right-in, right-out that would be created with the recreation center. The site is to have something like 1,240 parking spaces, given the option 1 with its current design. There are choices that were mentioned also before about 80-foot height. I'm not clear if that was a planning figure from Fairfax County height restriction, an FAA restriction, and its comparison with what is across the toll road with the Herndon facilities that are being built that happen to be slightly higher in altitude. So that is a concern to create greater green space. Can the back buildings closer to the toll road be higher? I didn't hear from this committee any discussion, given the closeness of those buildings to the toll road, any discussion about noise sound abatement. But that impacts multifamily dwellings that are close to such roads. One of the things we had discussed with Mr. Truitt back in November of 24, especially there is the need to be that this be part of Reston Associate. But with that, there happen to be 2 crossings to the trail network in Polo Fields that are basically on the upper end of the site, above Thunder Chase, heading toward the metro station. These are crossing points that do not have any kind of pedestrian crossing controls at present, but they will be a consideration in the future. Strongly encourage, as was mentioned, the EV setups are inadequate from what I read of the plan. With that, I would like to hear any of your questions of me. I really appreciated working with many of the people on the Planning and Zoning Committee when we were part of the task force. John Carter taught me quite a few good things, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Well, it just there was a lot there, obviously, and a lot for us to take into account. And we're taking good notes, and we'll have some additional information and answers for you when we come back. We'd also be happy to meet with you. And I'm aware, realizing that there are a number of folks from the community who are here, and I think they're going to, all want to speak next. And we're happy to meet with everybody who's here. So appreciate all your comments. One quick note on some of the transportation improvements. With respect to the future interchange, we have coordinated with Fairfax County DOT, and our plan includes right-of-way dedication as would be needed to accommodate that future interchange, as the county has requested it of us. So as far as as anybody knows, the latest and greatest best information from the county of how much land area that interchange would require from our site, we've committed to dedicate that to the county as part of our project. With respect to the cycle track, as I said, there's still ongoing discussions with the county about the cycle track. I am told, but I am certainly not the expert. I'm aware of the recommendations for the cycle track on the north side and the south side, and then in other locations, the cycle track is all on one side of Sunrise Valley Drive. So I am aware that there are some issues with VDOT about the cycle track on either side rather than being on the same side. So we're trying to work through that with the county, but there will be a cycle track in some form as part of the project. We do have noise with respect to noise. We do have noise attenuation proffers. We'll do a noise study and all of that, and follow up and have a more refined noise study done at site plan and accommodate that with building materials as required. So just want to address those couple things while they were top of mind based on what you noted.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. I have a couple of things to follow.
Sure.
Number one, in coordinating with the Polo Fields community, there needs to be a lot done through Supervisor Alcorn's office, because it takes more than one meeting to get 392 property owners or residents to be aware and to participate. Can't expect one meeting.
Yeah, understood.
I think that will show up very much. I'll let other people speak now, please.
Okie dokie. Adam Rubenstein.
Yes, thank you. I want to speak actually about the Reston Association. I moved to Reston in 2019 and at the time was a new building that did join the RA. And I will say that as an association, we wish we did not belong to the RA. Nobody here, we don't have any amenities from the RA near us. Nobody in our association uses them. It's an additional cost on top of our monthly dues that we pay for our own association. So I will say, just as an outlier here, as I'm outnumbered by people who want RA to, all the new developers to join RA, is think about what I just mentioned, because we're paying $632 a month for my association for our HOA. And you add on top of that almost $8 a month for the RA. And like I mentioned, we've talked in association about how to get out of the RA. So just want to throw that out there and keep that in mind, because there's a cost to it. And we're paying a lot already for our dues because we're a small association. So just consider that when you're thinking about joining the RA. Thank you.
Okay, Adam, what is your cluster?
We're the lofts at Reston Station.
Thanks. I didn't know whether you were lofts 1 or 2.
Lofts 1, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All righty. Diane Phillips Badra, am I pronouncing that correctly?
You are. Thank you, Tammy, and I appreciate you recognizing me. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. So I have a little bit of a prepared set of comments. They'll be very quick, but I want to begin by thanking everyone for the opportunity to speak and talking about, I put numerous comments in the chat, and I hope, Brian, that you'll absorb those and understand the spirit in which they're intended, because I do understand that our community is growing and, we're about to absorb new homes. This is going to happen, right? But we're not ready. The infrastructure is strained, and without immediate coordinated action, we risk placing hundreds of new families into an unsafe and inadequate condition to live. Specifically, I want to say growth has to be planned and it has to be delivered on alongside infrastructure, not ahead of it. So Mark very astutely mentioned pedestrian safety, and he talked about Sunrise Valley Drive. Responsibility for maintaining those sidewalks is currently unclear. If you'd like to check into the across the street Polo Field side of Sunrise Valley Drive, nobody knows who's maintaining it. In fact, you can see a very delineated line where maintenance stops and questions begin. I have on multiple occasions requested maintenance of parts of that sidewalk, and it has not happened. These sidewalks have to be properly maintained and should be extended if we're going to put that many additional citizens into our area. Nobody is going to be able to walk to Harris Teeter, Woodland Crossing for their groceries. One would hope that those will be the businesses they're going to go to. It's currently not safe. I cross Monroe Street daily at 5:30 in the morning on my way to Pure Bar Reston over in Woodland Crossing, and I have been the victim of near misses on multiple occasions because people no longer slow down or stop for right on red. They don't do anything. They just buzz through them. It doesn't matter what you do. These areas need to have slowing mechanisms. They need to have attention to enforcement, and to add bicycle lanes to Sunrise Valley is laughable. I ride my bike to the Reston Farmers Market every weekend. I will tell you, it's a death trap riding around here, and Sunrise Valley Drive is amongst the worst. So if you're going to put 1,000, I think 41 more units. I was shocked. I thought it was 700 units. Nitin, I'm going to ask you about that later. That many additional units onto our teeny tiny 2-lane road with multiple left-right stops, it's not safe. Basic services are going to need improvement. snow removal is abhorrent in our area. Persons who are trying to access Metro and the bus stops along Sunrise Valley Drive during the recent, not only ice-mageddon, but just when there's 2 inches of snow, it can't be done. These sidewalks are not maintained with the exception of the Metro responsibility. From one end of their property line to the other, Metro plows, Metro salts, and Metro takes care of their sidewalks. The other ends are not taken care of by VDOT, Fairfax County, Reston Association. I don't know who it is, neither do they, but little children going to the bus, old people going to the bus. I'm a nurse, I'm an Army veteran. I think a lot about the elderly on a daily basis. Because that was my nursing specialty. It's not doable and it's not sustainable at this point. And if you add in that 2-building pool, I like that 2-building model. I wish, and I put it in the notes if you'd look, Brian, I wish they were elevator units that were actually senior affordable and senior usable, because we don't have that. All of our senior housing is isolated, save Sunrise, Reston, which now has Whole Foods and some cool shopping centers across from it. This end of the city, we've got nothing that gets us to anywhere. We're all isolated. Case in point, I'd like to point out that the Arboretum of Reston on Sunrise Valley Drive, which is that cool little industrial or office complex you all were talking about with the townhomes next to it, that is abhorrent, and it's not part of the community, and it should be, because we have a fabulous community here, and everyone deserves to live in a fabulous community, especially if we're talking about making you part of RA, and even if we don't. So we have that opportunity, but sterile design and high turnover because people use it as a leapfrog place to live is not what's going to work here. We all live here. We are in now $1 million properties here in Polo Fields. Okay, they're selling like gangbusters. I'm sure you've looked at the comps. You know, we need to make sure that whatever you put in place has the same thought process and wonderful feeling that Polo Fields has and had when I chose to live here. And so I have a couple more points and I'm going to move on, let everyone else have a chance, because boy, is it already late. I want to talk about Stratton Woods Park. You know, you're talking about this teeny tiny building that PS is on my walking route on a regular basis, and you want to make it part of Fairfax County Parks. And that sounds beautiful on paper, but it's really just a little building with some basketball courts. Those children, those humans living in your development are going to cross Sunrise Valley Drive, and if they don't get hit, they're going to walk down Thunder Chase, take a left on Coltsbrook or Club Pond Lane and go to Stratton Woods Park. Or they're going to go down the trail on their bicycle and do the same, because Stratton Woods Park is fantastic, but it lacks a potable water system. You can't fill your water bottle there, even though hundreds and hundreds of people are there every weekend. I live 3 houses from it, so I know this to be true. This is where you can make an impact, Brian. Your company can make an impact. If you want to put up something where people can actually go and participate in athletic pursuits and enjoy themselves, I think your idea of using that building is fine, but truly, already, everyone's going to Stratton Woods Park because it's a great park with multiple playgrounds and every amenity, including ball field, soccer field, and our cool paddleball courts, which we love and everyone loves. So think about where you can put the bang for your buck. I don't know that developing that building or improving that building is the best idea. I think Stratton Woods Park is where the kids are going. They're already going there now. And to that end, I'd like to just address, well, 2 more things. Dogs, on behalf of Tammy and with Tammy, because I agree, I'm a dog owner. She's back here asleep. You might, oh, I'm blurred, but she's back here asleep. Anyway, our trails are heavily used. The time has come for e-bikes to be regulated, to have a requirement of helmet use. I'm an ER nurse. we've got to look at this, because if our trails are the access point to Stratton Woods Park, and if you are developing more trails, it's time to look at the safe utilization of those trails for pedestrians and for bicycles and e-bikes. I'm down with e-bikes, but I don't want to get picked off by one when I'm walking my dog at 5 o'clock at night in the winter. So we need to think about that, and we need to think about how we're going to help people access the Harris Teeter on their e-bikes without hitting a senior citizen who's toddling along on the way. And finally, to Tammy's point, all of these new households, with a new household come multiple dogs. I don't necessarily agree with her point that the smaller the household, the more the dogs, but I do agree that dogs are coming. And dogs are an, wonderful quality of life issue and very, very important. But currently, our Polo Fields does its best, but is mildly inadequate in terms of where dogs can go. And your new property is going to increase the number of dogs. I have a suggestion. We have a big green field along Fox Mill Lane that sits there, gets mowed 3 times a month, and pretty much does nothing. It's time to look at where we're going to put a dog park on this end of the community that is big and usable. And it's time, again, I'm going to go back to where we put potable water for athletes and young people who are out there playing, having fun. And that's something that you might consider to make this a little more palatable to those of us who are living in polo fields. And with that, I'll close. And Nitin, I'll get back with you later on those numbers. Thank you all.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots to consider. Okay, please put your hands down after you've spoken unless you have another issue. Nita Pradhan, please.
This is Nitin. I live bang opposite your property in Polo Fields. I have a direct view into your property from my bedroom. So I'm one of those people who's going to be significantly affected by what you do, either positively or negatively. So I wanted to just talk about a couple of things that come to mind. First and foremost, currently, if you look at where Thunder Chase meets Sunrise Valley, that intersection is extremely dangerous, extremely. We have accidents there almost on a routine basis. There is always a traffic jam on that Sunrise Valley Drive. I know that because I see it. Even at 5 o'clock in the morning, there is traffic jam. There's always noise. That whole noise is coming into our community. And it's terribly bad now. So when we bought the house about 30 years back, it was quiet and nice, and Reston was all green, and we were just so happy. And now Reston is full of concrete buildings. And whoever is doing the planning there needs to really look at what the situation is. And so one of the things which I will mention is if there are going to be 1,000 homes there, there are probably going to be at least 1,000 cars there. And if all of those cars are going to get onto Sunrise Valley and get into your place, there is going to be a permanent traffic jam on Sunrise Valley Drive. And so those 2 roads that you showed do not solve this problem. You will probably walk away after doing, a couple of years of work, and our property values, our life will be permanently affected. And so I have a request for you. And I've mentioned this to Supervisor Alcon's office multiple times now. And he has said that he will talk to you. I've sent a very detailed email twice. I'm not sure whether you're getting those emails because I have not heard any response from you. I did hear folks say that there is no one here and no HOA and all. They're very committed people who want to talk to you. And I would encourage you all to talk to us in Polo Field, not once, but probably on a monthly basis. And let's do this jointly so that, we can sort of tell you what needs to happen. We want you to succeed. We want you to have a premier location. So we have some suggestions because you are doing planning in the abstract. We have lived here 30 years. So we could give you the insight that you probably will not have. So one of the things which I will mention is those two roads which are connecting into Sunrise Valley Drive, which is really where you input into your community and come out, are simply inadequate. I think you will have to look at somehow getting permission so that you can open up on the road that goes behind next to the Dulles Trail Road. There's a road that goes in which connects into the Fairfax County Parkway, and there is a possibility, I believe, for roads to come in there. That would allow people to come in from the Dulles Toll Road directly into your community and allow your folks to go directly onto the Dulles Toll Road without getting into Sunrise Valley Drive. That will help significantly. Again, I don't know the mechanics of how this can happen, but this is something which I encourage you all to look at because this is going to solve a lot of problems on the Sunrise Valley Drive. The other thing that I will mention here is you mentioned the cycle track. So I have mentioned multiple times to Supervisor Alcorn, and we are also talking to Reston Association on this. Whoever came up with this brilliant idea of having bike tracks on both the locations is probably not seeing what's happening. There are hardly any bikes going on that track. The sidewalk is really cramped and unmaintained. And what is actually happening on those bike tracks are e-bikes, which whiz past at significant speeds. And you will see that when you sort of start building there. And so what I have suggested is sort of separate it out. Let the north side, which is really the, the metro side, to have the bike path and let people take that bike path and go to the metro or to the commercial centers and do that. And then the bike path on the southern side of Sunrise Valley, which is touching the Polo Fields community, that can be only a sidewalk for walking. That way we separate out, who is going on bikes and e-bikes and who's walking. That will be much, much safer to go out and do. The other part that I will mention, my wife used to go to the metro station in the night. And when it gets night, everything there becomes dark. There's an opportunity for you to really develop that path all the way from, Polo Fields all the way down towards Metro Center. Probably you can put lights, probably you can put some sidewalks, you can improve that. That would be a terrific, terrific addition that you can have. The other thing that I want to mention is the grade separating interchange. We would love to understand what you are, how you're going to collaborate on that project. Because here's the issue. There's not much that we can do at this end because our community is built out. We have no idea how the grade separating interchange is going to come. DOT has not talked to us about it. At least we don't know the details. What would be good if you have some knowledge that we all collaborate and make sure that when the grade separating interchange comes, it not only does not impact your community, but it does not impact the Polo Fields community, because that would have to be taken in at this direction. And then the final thing that I would sort of say is when the construction starts, I think you'll probably have to look at how you can control the noise pollution, the dust pollution, because our homes are very, very close. When you start doing stuff there, it can potentially impact us. So you want to see that. And again, as I say, this has been brought up a number of times. If you can make that place green by putting taller buildings towards the Dulles Toll Road side and putting greenery towards the Sunrise Valley side and make it much greener, I believe you'll get a dollar value which is going to be much higher. I believe people in Polo Fields will actually collaborate with you versus actually trying to, fight you at every stage, because we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that you succeed and we also happy. So we would suggest that you talk to us. There are lots of great ideas that we have, and partly because we have lived here, partly because we have seen there, and we can provide some insight. So I want to say that we sort of expect a great collaboration from you and your company. We wish you the best, and let's collaborate and let's try to do this in the best possible manner. Thank you.
Thank you. And my suggestion is that Polo Fields people get a hold of Brian Winterhalter. He's known, and Brian might even give you his company number. so that you can be in communication. Michael Collins.
If I may, Tammy,
Sure.
one quick note to follow up on that. Nitin, thanks for your comments. That there's a lot to digest there. We're happy to meet with you. I'm going to put my email address in the chat. So anybody who wants to meet with me, if we could maybe coordinate some group of folks to meet together, I think that would be great. The other thing I'll say is we did receive your comments from Mark and Supervisor Alcorn's office. But we only received them pretty recently. So we haven't had a chance to kind of like work all that into our planning yet. Just wanted to know that we did receive it. We're reviewing it. Thanks for your comments. And I'm going to put my email in the chat so we can follow up.
Perfect, Brian. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, Michael Collins, please.
Hi there. So I just appreciate the opportunity to hear more and all the engagement here. I would echo, there were lots of good comments about how people in that neighborhood will access the metro, how it becomes a more hospitable sort of community feel, traffic patterns. I think one of the questions I haven't heard anything about is what was the reasoning for moving away from having a hotel in the mix?
So there was a hotel was an option under the comprehensive plan. Office was also an option, or honestly, any other kind of non-residential use. So the comprehensive plan isn't specific about the non-residential component. It was envisioned that there would be office, hotel, or retail in some form. I think given the location of the site and the characteristics of the site, it'd be better for residential than for a hotel. But if Steve, if you want to elaborate, but I don't know that a hotel would be great at this location.
I think those decisions, I don't have anything to add, Brian. I think that we're looking at the best iteration here is what was determined, as you've tried to explain.
Okay, and Steve Weber is a part of your team, Brian?
Steve Weber is with Stanley Martin, the applicant, yes.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that. I would say, maybe more than some people who live nearby, I've been cautiously optimistic about this. I do have concerns about the logistics. Part of what I was excited about was I expected it to be mixed use, and so there would be shopping and things that we could benefit from. We have kids who will be looking for jobs, high school and college jobs. And so I expected that was, there would be that in the plan. So I would just add my voice that finding ways to include some mixed use, some retail would be great.
Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Oh, Terry C.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up a cautionary tale for the polo fields specifically. And I don't know how many of us on this call, 38 people, are from the polo fields. But we had to fight for our amenities, and we didn't get the amenities that we wanted, even years or decades after polo fields was built. One of the things that we wanted was a pool in our community, because when Fairfax County Parkway came on, we were cut off. Kids couldn't ride their bikes to the pools and the rest of it. So I think we want to spend some time and get a lot more polo field people on this call. I don't know, are there 20 of us? I don't know. But with that, and have more conversations, because we've lived through it where instead of a pool, we have a gazebo. It's the best that they could do. And it's like, we spend as much money as anybody else in our housing purchases. But now we can't go anywhere to get any amenities other than the pathways and the gazebo and some volleyball fields and tennis courts that are in our community. All the rest of it, we have to get into a car. You got to pack up the kids because it's not safe for them to be able to ride on across Fairfax County Parkway, and now Sunrise Valley. So I think that that would be good things to have in the discussion, because the folks that have shown up that are going to be purchasing these housing units or living in these housing units, Reston has a pretty good reputation of having pools and walking paths and green. So all of those things that I've heard tonight, I think we want to be able to go over again, Brian. And thank you so much for showing up. I mean, this is very helpful. But the first time I heard about this meeting tonight was from next door that my wife had brought up. I had not gotten it from anybody else. So now you have somebody that's in the neighborhood that will be alerting other folks. So I am hoping and ready to enjoy our next meeting that we have discussing all of this stuff with more polo folks. Thank you.
Terry, in that vein, go to the chat and get Brian Winterhalter's email so that you are not dependent on anyone else to get information. All right, anyone else?
What did you say to go to?
The chat.
Chat.
There's a banner, it should be at the top of your page that says chat.
Yeah.
And click on it and he should have his email address there.
And who is this
Tammy,
that I'm going to be clicking?
Could I just add something, Tammy?
Sure, please.
I do want to let folks know that Walter Alcorn, our district supervisor, he puts the link to these meetings in his newsletter, and he advertises which projects are coming before Reston Planning and Zoning. So the links are provided in his newsletter as well. But I'm glad that Terry, I'm glad that your wife was able to get the link to the meeting from next door. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'll go to the newsletter. The newsletter will have everything because I don't see anything about clipping my meeting chat.
You don't have, well,
yeah.
Okay.
I was just going to say we will put the replay of this meeting, but if you scroll up on the chat, you will see a chat from Brian Winterhalter that says my email address is, and you can just go in there and copy it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Lynn. All righty. If that concludes Eastlink, we will go to our second project, and that is Michael Faraday, 1821 Michael Faraday.
Well,
and
before David starts, we will sign off. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. You have my info in the chat and look forward to talking with you all again soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. You're terrific.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Good
you.
to see you, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Greatly appreciate Brian and Sporty.
All righty. Who is presenting for Fahim? Are you on?
No, David Gill is presenting.
David Gill. Super.
Well, and I appreciate your guys' patience here on this project. My name is David Gill. I'm a land use attorney with Wire Gill. We're a Reston-based law firm and had obviously participated in several rounds of the Reston planning process. My kids all go to South Lakes or went through South Lakes and live in Reston, and currently talking to you from one of the Goodman houses over here in Lake Ann. So I'm as familiar with this community as anybody and really appreciate the opportunities that it's provided. I'm actually representing Jim Bognet, who owns 1821 Michael Faraday, and I'll go ahead and pull up the aerial here to share with everyone. That is the existing office building that I think most folks know as the location of the Nova Community College. And for those who haven't heard yet, Nova has publicly said they are not renewing their lease and they're consolidating their classes to their main campus in Annandale. So in 3 years, that building will be completely empty. And we are facing an inflection point of deciding how to move forward with that particular application and that particular property. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the aerial here so you know exactly which one I'm talking about. I know that has been an amenity and frankly, a boon for a long time. It's something that we even talked about, I think, as a task force about trying to encourage more university uses in that location. And unfortunately, I think it's sort of pivoted the other way as time has gone on. Let me go ahead. So this is the proposal, and unfortunately, the tab, of course, moved right there. There, I'll pull up the aerial. There we go. This is the Nova Community College building. For those who aren't familiar, the Tacos Ocalo is probably the one I know the best. But Michael Faraday, as it comes down, the existing Lofts 1, which I saw Adam was on, Rubenstein is here, is directly to the south. Where the F-45 used to be, the Lantern House, some of those new communities. And then obviously it's bordered by Sunset Hills just as it comes around. You've got the post office just off the road here to the right, as it's shown. Brian, who just presented, actually just got a project approved to the east of here called Lofts 2. That was approved by the board on July 14th. It largely mirrors some of the uses that you see here at Lofts 1. And frankly, that is exactly what you're gonna see here in a second that I'm going to show you for our site. Our site is the roughly 2.5 acres of this surface parking lot. I'll go ahead and jump over to that. The orientation just changed slightly here, but along the east part of the road is what's called quote unquote Easterly Road. And Fairfax County has called for a public road connection through Lofts 1's, between Lofts 2 and our property, all the way to Sunrise Valley. It will line up with the entrance across the street at where like the bike shops building is. As part of our project, the county has asked that we include a new median on this portion of Sunset Hills, as well as a 5-foot bike lane, 2 travel lanes, 7-foot amenity panel, 8-foot trail, 5-foot amenity panel. So we're going to accommodate that entire streetscape frontage along our property as part of our dedication. That is not reflected in this particular drawing yet. And just by way of process, we are nominally scheduled for public hearings in October. Candidly, I think we're probably 2 or 3 months after that from actually hitting our public hearings. We wanted to have this meeting with you. We did sit down with Adam and Rob Vogel at the Lofts 1 project to get some of their feedback, wanted to get your feedback so that when we put our best foot forward and submit our proffers and all that, that when we come back to you, you'll have a complete application to be able to evaluate and look at in that regard. The project we're talking about here would be 99 units, 20 townhomes mirroring the same townhomes that are directly to the south of us, set back the exact same distance from Michael Faraday, and then 2 of the exact same loft-style buildings, which are these condo flat buildings that already exist. So they would just mirror as 2 in the exact same standpoint. The curb in the back is the exact same curb that is there today, so it would follow that and would create easterly. Depending on which of our 2 projects, whether it's the Lofts 2 that was just approved or ours, whoever goes second would finish off the road essentially to make that completion to Easterly Road. The 20 units would be these 2/2 townhome units. There are 37 units in each of the condo flats. They have 1 level of parking beneath, and then some surface parking and visitor parking around the edges. Each of the individual townhome units with 2 parking spaces apiece. We are proposing right now 99 parking spaces, although we're only required to do 80. The county's obviously pushing on us to reduce it, but one of the things we had heard from Adam and his community was try to keep up the visitor parking as high as possible and to look at incorporating a true loading space. So those are 2 things we want to take a look at. One other additional change you'll probably see when we come back to you is showing this 4th leg of the Michael Faraday connection across Sunset Hills towards the trail and the skate park. This does not have a crosswalk right now. We would obviously complete that and put it in the ped head to be able to complete that portion of the crosswalk there. So it's got crosswalks now on all 4 sides. The park is largely going to double the size of the existing park, and to the extent you are familiar with the smaller park back there, I'll zoom in a bit. There's a small parklet right here that's behind Lofts 1. We would improve on that and bring it out to approximately the end of this existing parking row. So from like here to here is roughly what would become a park in our proposal that would have a direct connection from Michael Faraday into the project itself. And that's what this green area here represents along the bottom of this. We're looking at a couple of different options about whether or not we even need this particular road when we resubmit. It does provide some parallel parking and a little bit of access here, but we might be able to slide these 2 units further north and eliminate this road and pick up some more pervious area and green space, which we think could maybe make it a little bit more dynamic, and then really focus the circulation here to the north. And then it allows maybe sliding the building for a little bit further south so that we can add some more of these same visitor parking spaces in front of the other building up here. So this is just a very high level preliminary look at what we're doing. The current comprehensive plan identifies this similarly as mixed use residential. It is within the TSA area for the metro station. For context, Lofts 2 needed that plan amendment to even have a residential option to the east of us. We've always been designated residential under the comprehensive plan and are finally able to move forward with that. It is a 2.8 acre site. We were achieving 45% open space. We're providing the trails, and every park that is on here would be publicly accessible as well. I know RA has been mentioned. Since Lofts 1 and Lofts 2 have committed to doing RA, we would anticipate doing that as well. We're meeting in August with RA to begin that conversation and meeting with their planning committee and hopefully having that discussion. I'll stop talking because I really want to hear more impact and influence than anything else about issues from this group. And I guess one other thing that was mentioned was architectural. We are literally going to mirror what the buildings to the south of us are. That is the intent, is to mirror them and look like it is a integrated part of the exact same community. With that, I'm happy to turn it over, Tammy, to let the group ask questions as they would like.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. I'm going to go first on this time, and then we'll go to the committee and then guests. Hey, you know, I just have to vent and say I'm sick of finding projects come in that are fairly dense, and this is 92 new DUs on 2.5 acres, and calling landscaping a park. These are along Sunset Hills. That is a meandering path, and it's a transportation link. Where is any active recreation there? There's no active recreation anywhere on this site, but you're bringing in, you know, at least 150 new people, right? So where are they supposed to play? Because there are no RA parks anywhere near this. And RA doesn't have parks in the TSAs. We know that. So I just have to vent and say that this, I love the idea of shrinking your second building and moving it south. So you have parking in front of its twin to the north. Lordy, you have no, on your townhouses, you have no ability for their guests to park behind their units in their driveways. Right. And so with these amount of people, you need to have guest parking a lot more.
Tammy, I'm not sure we disagree with you. I think this is where we get pushback, obviously, from a perspective of being within the TSA that staff already believes we're overparked.
Yeah, well, you send them our way and send them to people who live in these areas, and they will tell you, and you know, and as you have said, that's not true.
And that was Adam's
stronger
first point to
language
us
if we were
about
not on camera.
Exactly.
So I
on the existing
appreciate
Lofts
that.
one.
Yeah, I really appreciate your view, and I you know, push back on staff because I think they're wrong on that. Okay, let's go to somebody else who's rational. Katie McLean.
Thank you. I was not to, but you see the two, like, I guess, are these 2/2? So like the bottom 4
Correct.
townhomes,
Correct.
maybe get rid of those and just make that a park, because what you're calling a park is the footprint of a townhouse. That is not a park. And like Tammy was saying, like, I mean, I guess what the builder or whoever developer's not gonna make whatever, a couple $1,000,000 because they don't have 4 of these dwelling units, but you got this strip of land, like, that's like half the size of, like, along the very southern border that I think you also called like a linear park or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, we're not, I mean, I'm not being rude, but like, we're not in the throes of Washington DC where like there really is no space. I mean, people are moving out to Reston and they're, they want to see some kind of open and green space. I just think this doesn't do it. And I think when it does come to parking, I understand staff is like, well, it's on the metro, it's metro accessible. But people this day and age still like to drive their cars, especially over to, you're going to see your friend, and maybe you're not going to spend 20 minutes on the metro. Maybe you're just going to drive over instead. I think you definitely need some more street parking for guests, but the park thing, I just think you got to find more space. I would get rid of those 2 spots on the bottom corner and make that whole area a park. That makes sense. Thank you.
I hear you on the parking and the programming. I mean, just to be really blunt, when my planner showed me this, I was like, all right, let's figure out what really would work. I mean, if you haven't been back there, there's a series of sort of fitness stations and a 2 seating areas on the Lofts 1 side. Our thought was to work with Lofts 1 on ways to program it and make it larger. And like I said, I think there's some opportunity right where my cursor is to potentially just close this road altogether, and maybe we make this a much more usable park. Because you're right, from a usability perspective, this is not impressive.
Well, I want to say something. When you're, with townhomes is going to be families, whether it's young kids or, middle school or whatever, but townhomes is generally, maybe not always, but normally it's not a single person. So you've got to have something for activity, like when people have kids, they want to get outside and move around. So I just think, yeah, those bottom 2, get rid of those. And you could make a really nice official park for these folks.
Mm-hmm. I hear.
Lynn, you're next.
Thank you, Tammy. Good to see you, David.
Good to see you, Tam.
Did I hear you correctly that the county is asking you all to put a median on Sunset Hills?
Correct. And I can share what the actual would look like compared to the existing to give you a sense for what they're asking. Let me go to.
Because that's 4 lanes. I mean, it's divided, but it's 4 lanes. And
correct.
Are they going to widen the lanes? I mean, you said something about putting in a bike lane as well.
Correct.
Are they going to be widening?
Can you see my PDF that's coming up now? Is it Adobe?
No, we have still the.
All right, let me share it again. So this PDF is what the county has made their request to ask of us. So it would be this is from the midpoint of the existing Sunset Hills. We would provide a 9-foot from the median. That's half of the 18-foot median they would like. An 11-foot travel lane, another 11-foot travel lane, the 5-foot bike lane, the 7-foot amenity panel, the 8-foot sidewalk, and then behind that, they want us to have a 3 to 5 foot amenity panel.
So this is going down from 2 lanes to 1 lane in each direction.
No, this is just our half of it. So
your half. Got it. Okay.
Correct. So this is going to the midpoint of the existing road. So this black line is the existing curb. This heavy black line is the existing curb on Sunset Hills. The new curb would be this light, and I wish I had darkened it out, this light red line.
I see what
so roughly 16-foot additional road pavement would be provided with this project along its length.
I have to interrupt here. How are they getting the other side done to match this?
It's if and when the bike lane building would come in.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And anything else, Lynn?
No, I just want to echo
And
what,
sorry, this
yeah.
also shows easterly as it would come in. So easterly would sort of bend to the right here, and this represents the curve of what easterly would be as it came in. So this is on Lofts 2 side. This is our property line right here, and then
Got
it
it.
would bend and line up with the bike lanes building straight across the road.
Okay. Yeah, so I just want to echo what Tammy and Katie brought up in terms of, the fact that, this is Reston, and, you live here, David, know what Reston is all about. You know the planning principles, you know the design guidelines, and, we are a biophilic community. And I think Katie's idea of getting rid of those two townhomes in that southern corner is a great idea to, add some park space and some recreational space, that's activated, that's activities for recreational activities. And I really do think that, we need to be very conscious about the fact that, we're just over densifying everything, and we need to add some sanity into these projects. So the greenery is a key. It's one of the key tenets of Reston, as you know. So thank you very much.
And I think I neglected to mention, one of the things staff asked us to look at was adding on-street parking all the way down to Sunset Hills. What I think we're going to try and do is, because this is the existing entrance across the road as you come across to the new townhomes and then come into the office condos that are over there, the Eye Doctor and the Taco Socalo.
Right.
What we think we can do is, because as you can see across the road, they have their parallel parking. I think we can bring it all the way up, at least to that point. I think it becomes harder here because they don't have it across the road from us. And then it takes away from the ability to have a right turn lane there, and then potentially even more greenery or landscaping. So it's something we're struggling with. We could maybe make it work, but then it shifts everything to the right, 8 feet, which really eats up
Right.
into sort of this landscape amenity panel on the backside too. And it makes the site tight. And
Okay. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
I
it's
also
something
want
we're
to
struggling with.
applaud. Oh, sorry. I just want to say that I want to applaud your joining Reston Association. It's such an important amenity, especially when we're looking at having no recreational space. Even though folks have to drive to the tennis courts and the swimming pools and the basketball courts and the ball fields, but that's very important. So thank you.
And I'm going to just jump in here. For God's sake, don't get rid of your trees along Michael Faraday or Sunset Hills. I mean, this is Reston. We need trees all over the place for climate, for our canopy, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, we're not.
Okay.
I wouldn't get rid of the trees. The trees would be last to go. It'd be squeezing the sidewalks, to be honest, Tammy.
Okay, but yeah. Okay, let's see. Matt, please.
Thank you. Well, I'll say this. I mean, we're looking at one site here that's part of a much larger development. I'm at least going to note that, directly south of here, very close, there is a linear park, along the barrier of the toll road. I've been back there. It's got a dog park and a playground and some field space. So, I mean, I think we need to kind of look at all of this stuff holistically, as one big development, even though we're only looking at one parcel right now. So just in general, I don't know if like every single parcel needs to sort of have every amenity if they're all kind of part of this same, walkable community, which this whole area is intended to be as it gets built out. You're also extremely close walking down Reston Station Boulevard to getting to the Wheelie Metro Center and all the new development that's there, including some large central activated spaces with lots of stuff going on and concerts and restaurants and things like that. All that being said, I like the idea of introducing more green space to this property. Can you go back to your site plan for a second?
Sure.
Yeah, I really when I look at this, I mean, you're coming into both of your garages on the, off of that drive aisle on the sort of plan west side of the property there. And other than accessing your visitors parking, which is important, you have a lot of area that's just, circulation around these buildings. Um, Certainly maintain the visitor parking. I actually like the idea of introducing some more street parking, but I think you could even keep those two townhouses in the lower left-hand corner, and just provide, kind of a little pipe stem to get behind them. And then if you could eliminate that whole drive aisle with those, whatever it is, 6 parallel spots, and then even maybe the piece that goes behind the building there, that's
So
significantly
this
more
is going to
green
be,
space.
yeah, this unfortunately on the right is going to be Easterly Road, basically.
Oh, it is? Okay. So
Yeah.
I didn't,
Yeah.
I mean, I know you need to
So,
maintain fire access around the building as well. But if there was a way to
yep. Well,
recapture that
I,
drive aisle there as green space, that could be interesting. One thing, I mean, I don't know if I'm advocating for it or not. It's just something I was thinking about is what if you provided the access through that southern road and maybe you shifted the building slightly on the site and then you created kind of a more pedestrian centered green square between the two buildings? Like if you were going to have one or the other of these sort of connectors going horizontally through the site, that could be something interesting to at least look at. Kind of a
absolutely. We'll take a look at
connecting
that.
green
Yeah.
space there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think introducing more green space is good and active amenities are good, but we do have some of that. I know it's not huge, very close by to this site, just south of there. That's
Thank
all
you.
I've got.
Okay. Let's see, Reese, you were next.
All right. Thank you, Tammy, and thank you, David, for the presentation. I have more of a couple of comments rather than a question here. I'll start first by echoing some of what Matt said, and Matt has been on point with both sets of comments today for projects so far, I think. And that's in evaluating this
Thanks,
site.
Reese.
That's in evaluating this site, in the context and holistically. I certainly understand from the committee members' perspective that we want more green space in this development. I think that's fair to ask. But, to Matt's point, there's a linear park to the south. We're, 50 feet from the WNOD, and if you go 50 more feet, you're getting into the Lake Fairfax trailhead. So there's a lot of green space to take advantage of here. And I also, that's why I'm not understanding some of the push from other community members or committee members rather to add more parking to this parcel. If we're on one hand pushing for more green space, then that has to be at the sacrifice of something else. And I highly doubt, profit-driven developer is going to remove units. So I don't know why we would also want them to add this dead asphalt that will be used, by the community there. But we're also wanting to encourage, like Fairfax County is trying to encourage use of the broader multimodal transportation scope here. I mean, Wheelie Metro. I mean, I won't elaborate on this too much. WNOD, it's the preeminent bike trail in Northern Virginia. If we're wanting to stick to these, climate and transit oriented development goals that are part of this broader regional context. I certainly don't understand asking for more parking than what the development here is already achieving, which is what Fairfax County is advising for, if I'm understanding that correctly. So I just am not quite understanding this push-pull between more green space, but also more paved space, and that at the same time. And I just think that we should encourage reduction of parking, because if people want to live there, which basically every study shows that people want to be within walkable distance of multimodal transportation option, and living in Reston to me means the opportunity for that, and I don't want to spend my time in Reston going around in a car. And so I'm just wanting to leave that impression upon David, the people you're representing, that I'm going to throw my hat in the ring there and say that more parking is not something that I'm interested in. So thank you for your time.
Okay, Sue and David.
Thanks, Tammy. Just a quick question, David. This is an old building, and I don't know what the stormwater management situation was when it was built in the, I don't know, maybe late 70s or early 80s or something like that. What are
It was
you
like
planning?
82, but yeah.
82. What are you planning? Because that's all impervious surface right now. What are you planning to do? Are you going to abide by the newest set of stormwater management regulations, or how are you handling that? And where is
Yeah,
it going?
yeah, so it would go into an underground detention vault, and candidly, it's a great question on how close we can get to that number. It's something I didn't have urban or civil look at yet, in terms of, I mean, we have our basic calcs in here, and just I don't want to play stormwater engineer and tell you what those mean, but I hear we have to hit the new standard. When we're back in front of you next time, I want to talk more directly and answer you more directly on that, in terms of trying to get as close to the goal as we can. Because you're right, it is an opportunity here to take what has been a surface parked office building and try to do something better.
Great, thank you.
And along that line, you've heard a lot tonight about green roofs and about using green building materials, creating green communities. So I don't know height-wise what is possible here, but please do explore green roofs, and could be sedum, could be actually potted urban farming. Certainly that would not only increase your stormwater retention on site and provide filtration, but you're also going to help reduce noise, because this is a very noisy corner. And also is a corner where you have a lot of buildings from just adjacent to you, Comstock and Marriott, that's looking directly down on top of your building.
Right.
So, I don't know what's possible there. A green roof, rooftops can provide, grilling, picnics, community gatherings, so think about a rooftop deck. I don't know if that's possible with what, building height you're talking about. A pool, there isn't a pool on this site, so, that could be something that would be very attractive. And also think, when you plan your indoor space, about, indoor fitness room, also indoor kind of workspaces where a lot of people are working from home today. And so what are those opportunities, to meet and greet and exchange ideas, and, be sure to, not just have units, but provide some kind of gathering space inside. The other thing is, I really applaud you for joining Reston Association. It's not only to use all the recreation fields and the ball fields and the soccer fields and the playgrounds, et cetera, but, Reston Association provides over 55 miles of paved trails.
Yeah.
And, there's the community centers. We have 2 community centers that people can use. RA, they also, protect the natural beauty and the environment. And you can see that if you're on the OD Trail, and if you take that all the way through Reston, and RA is really maintaining way over, I don't know, it's something like 1,300 acres of open space, and so it's the lakes, the ponds, the streams, all of this that everybody can enjoy. So you not only have all the amenities just across the street, at the metro or across the street on the OD Trail, but all of Reston. And so this could be a very exciting project.
I appreciate that.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, and just for everyone's edification, I mean, these buildings would literally at this point be the exact same as this one shown, just two more of them. Roughly in those two locations. So, but I think we can absolutely learn from how that community evolved and what Adam had raised with us as well. So they're 60 feet. They would be one level of parking with elevators up to your individual with 4 stories of residential.
Right, yeah. But I mean, even if you look at those buildings on the rooftop, if you're mimicking them, it's just a lot of stuff up there, a lot of maintenance stuff, So think about how you could do
Yeah, no,
an attractive
I think it's a great
rooftop
point.
here.
Yeah, I think it's a
Okay.
great point.
Make it green. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. And to your point, I will say, Lynn and I had an opportunity to go to an event at the top of the Comstock building at Reston Station. And we were very cognizant, both of us being RPZ members, to look out and see to the west, green roofs, and how attractive that was. So please don't replicate what's to the south. Please pay attention to Sue because she's right on the money, and have these be green and more energy efficient. There's no sense in replicating something that isn't top of the line as far as our environment. Also, I'm going to push back a little bit on Reese. The parking that you're seeing and that we're asking for a little bit more of, it regards people who come to see you, people who come to service your unit. You have too little outdoor parking. Where do those people go? And yeah, not every hour of every day are spots going to be filled, but when they need to be filled, you need that space. The other thing is that we have to be careful of as a committee is access to firefighting equipment. So somebody brought that up before. Okay, guess, Adam.
Hi. So I'm Loft One, which is directly behind this project. I wanted to thank David for reaching out. That was appreciated. That was something Pulte never did for their lofts too. So David, you mentioned 3 years. Nova's leaving their lease expires at the end of next year. So I wasn't quite sure what you meant by 3 years.
Meaning any other leases that we have with some of the minor tenants besides Nova would expire in that time.
So when are you expecting the building to be completely empty?
It really depends. They have some individual options to extend leases, and at some point it's just a discussion of how much they want to keep paying for a lease that they're not using. And so like with Nova, they told us they're leaving the building in those 2 years and won't be using anymore. They still have lease obligations with us that last beyond that. And so it's going to come down to when they want to release the lease back to us that the building would actually come down or potentially be empty.
I thought when we met, you said that you were going to try to line up the existing entrance to the road directly across, which, by the way, they almost line up as is. So I was a little confused by that.
So this one and this one, this is the condition today. So they're a little offset.
Yeah.
So this slides north, so they're aligned.
Right. Which, if I heard you correctly tonight, you said that you were considering getting rid of that entrance point and only using Sunset Hills as an entrance point, if I heard you correctly.
No, I apologize. No, what I meant was this southern road here between our two buildings. that we have as a circulation point. And we
Okay.
might have to, fire access was raised, and maybe there's a way we make it mountable and have a fire truck be able to go up there, but still function as open space and maybe make it more effective as a common area for everybody. That's something I think we need to really take a look at.
So, because since I live here, I can, talk pretty knowledgeably about some of the issues that we've faced. And, you and I, you met, we talked about this, but as far as parking, I agree with Tammy, and thank you for advocating for that. Because yes, Tammy is correct. And I don't know what the county, they sit in their office buildings in Fairfax. And I don't know if they've even been to this area, because they just come up with these ideas that are not happening in reality. This is not New York City. This is not DC. Everyone here has a car, okay? I took the metro today to go to see a doctor, but normally, because I was going to DC downtown, but normally I drive. And it's Fairfax County. It's not, like I said, it's not DC, it's not New York City. So everyone in my building has a car, at least one car. So to say, take away parking and multimodal, okay, we have elderly people here, we have disabled people here, because they're not riding a bicycle, okay? So that's a very wishful thinking, but it's not the reality of the situation. So I'm getting a little tired of hearing people say, in the county say, oh, multimodal and you're the metro and this and that. Okay, it's not happening. It's not reality. So let's deal with reality. Reality is people have cars, people have a place to park the car. We have guests. We have contractors come and service our units for different things, like Tammy mentioned. Okay, so I don't want to hear about multimodal. I use the trail all the time, but not everyone does that. So I definitely agree. Oh yeah, John Carter. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I forgot about mentioning John. Also, the park space, it's inadequate. Okay, the dog park is nice. I don't have a dog, so I don't use it. Playground's nice. I don't have any children. I don't use it. We need more, and Tammy's mentioned this before, active recreation. Maybe a bocce court. I don't know if that's possible, David, back there. Can you guys expand your park?
I'm writing it down.
Okay. I'm happy for you, Reese. I still don't agree with what you're saying, so you can say it as many times as you want. But so I definitely think that having some sort of active, whether it be, I was in Reston Town Center today, they had like cornhole set up, and they had like a big Connect Four. So I think something like that is kind of cool to give people, because right now we have nothing like that. And David, you and I talked, we sat at that little table with the chess and checkers.
Yeah, you have the two stupid fitness stations that are
right. Nobody
really
uses that
bars
stuff.
on the
Nobody.
ground.
I've never seen one person use that stuff. Okay, never. And I've been here 7 years since the building opened. So again, let's get some stuff if we possible that people actually could use. Interestingly enough, in our 12 stacked townhomes, only one of the 12 has children. So it's predominantly either single people or couples. So, but I definitely think more parking, active park space that can be used recreationally. I think would definitely be pluses. And I appreciate again, David, for you reaching out to us, and hopefully we continue to talk as this project evolves. And that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to come back to your community again here in probably 45 days and give you an update on how we think we could evolve it based on some of your feedback when we walk the site.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear the park behind us is going to be expanded. I think that's definitely a plus. And it creates a nice buffer between the two properties. So yeah, looking forward to working with you more.
Appreciate it.
Deep apologies to John Carter. I skipped you. John, what do you say?
Well, most of it's been said. I'd like, could you go back to the existing condition? I think it's the slide before this. If something seems out of scale here. So if you look at lofts 1, the shape of that building is kind of longer and narrower. and then go back to you, to the scheme for this site, it looks like, I don't know, maybe it's my eyes, and maybe it's the lateness of the evening, but something looks out of scale
Yeah,
there.
John, that's a fair point. I think based on this discussion, what I'd really like to do is have a better exhibit showing the context of the recently approved Comstock, Easterly Road, both existing and maybe zoomed in and zoomed out a bit. So we can pick up some of this sort of larger context discussion that we've heard. Because they literally are the same building, John, but you're right, looking here, they look
Yeah.
fatter.
So that's exactly what I was going to suggest, is put all three sites, at least the three, Lofts 1, Lofts 2, and this one together. I think some ideas for the open space might come through. So no waivers. So we need the loading facilities and all the things that we're supposed to get. So no waivers. I'm also looking at the roads in this area. VDOT has made a mess of this area, to be honest. The roads are all different. Curbs are all different on each site. So we need to make sense out of all this. And I noticed in Lofts 2, and this was kind of a weird proffer, that when the whole thing is finished, they'll decide whether Easterly Road goes through or whether it's Samuel Morris goes through. So I wonder if we shouldn't decide that now. And I wonder if Easterly Road, I hate to even suggest it, but whether that's the best idea to take Easterly Road all the way through. It certainly needs to connect to Reston Station Boulevard and maybe have a connection to this one, but does it need to go all the way through? I don't know.
I mean, I will say, John, that was our thought too. Doesn't need to go all the way through, but point blank,
I know.
Staff
Yeah,
has
I know
asked
what
us
staff.
to build this as a public road connection all the way through, right in, right out.
Yes, but then they're gonna say, close it, when it's finished, let's close it and use Samuel Morris, or is it Robert Morris? I forget. So
It's Samuel,
let's
right here,
settle
yeah.
that now before we get it all built and have to tear it apart. And then there is a design aspect of Easterly. It doesn't look like it's in the right spot on this one. Seems so take a look at that, and then the trees and the sidewalk. If you're going to do it to the trees and the sidewalks, Michael Faraday is quite a nice road, I think, and particularly in front of the Lofts 1 projects. So if you're replicating that, it could be pretty good.
But we're absolutely replicating that. It's whether or not
yeah.
we add the on-site street parking on this section up here. That was the only question really that we had from in discussions with staff about whether or not those spaces up here made sense, because you can't get them across the road here on the other side. And do you want people trying to parallel park as you're coming through this intersection this close? That was the
Well,
only.
it's a pretty wide street. It's pretty wide there. And then my last point is, what do you see at ground level? I don't know whether the topography works pretty well for Lofts 1, and I think it's going to work well for Lofts 2. That what you're seeing from Reston Station Boulevard anyway is the first floor of residential, not the parking. So whether you can pull that off here, I wonder.
That's a great question. I mean, we had some cross sections sort of showing it, but this is not helpful when it's just a gray block. We'll come back with those exhibits polished up, because now we know where the actual panel tree line dedication is going to be.
But yeah, put all three developments together, and I think there's something wrong with the scale here. I don't know what it is exactly, but if I'm right, you might end up with a little more open space than you think.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Super. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it. Sue David. Is that an
Sorry,
old
we didn't
hand?
pull the hand down.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else? Super. All righty. Thank you so much, David, for this presentation, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you see me around at Vita or at Lake Ann, farmer's market. Say hi.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.